night. Thank you for joining the Critical Hits podcast. Tino here, joined by Steven. How you doing today, Steve?
I'm doing pretty good. Happy Father's Day as we're
Um,
recording this.
to everybody out there, because that uh, does not apply to me, I don't think. I'm pretty
Well,
sure.
you're a cat dad. You're a cat dad,
I
right?
am a cat dad. Yeah, I am. I did the stepdad thing once. So for a moment, a couple years of my life, I was like, dude, Father's Day is awesome. Um, so that's gone now. But you know what?
Yeah.
I went. My roommate, Mikey Cool. For those of you that know him, he has one of his good friends visiting from out of town, staying with us this weekend, and he invited me to go out today to brunch with them. And we had a good time, we food and all that. But in the process of obtaining that food, we stopped by a local coffee shop, and the coffee shop had like a thing that was just like, if you're a dad, X, Y, and Z, you get a free like black coffee on the house or whatever. Which I mean, I got big dad energy, bro. I'm like, run me that black coffee. But Mikey was like, "That's my dad," and the dude just looked at me and he was like, "There's no way that I can prove that he is or is not." So
What a weird promotion. Like, what the
yeah, he
fuck?
was like, with that being said, he's like, let me get you this black coffee. So, I mean, I guess Mikey calls me daddy, and that is the weird situation that we set up. But it was nice of him though. Like he like got me a coffee, it cost him nothing, and like it made me laugh and smile. So, it's just some energy I needed for the day.
Yeah, I mean, I never really have like a traditional Father's Day because it's always my daughter's birthday too.
Oh,
So
yeah,
yeah,
that
so
is
like
true.
they're always like, hey, thanks for everything, and then we go on to her day. So
Which I think is fine. I mean, even when I did
absolutely.
the stepdad thing, I don't know that I had like specific expectations. I mean, I really didn't. But like the whole day wasn't about me. It just felt really nice to be thought of. Like I get like a card or maybe like a T-shirt or something, or both, and it just like like just that moment like makes you feel really special. You're super happy, and I was just like, all right, like that's all I wanted. Like thank you guys so much. Like I really appreciate it.
Well,
Um,
you know,
you know,
you know how I feel about it. As a man, you're secondary, and you're of service, and everything else around you should come first that you care about. So I never take it personally. It's fine.
well, I mean, I don't think that dads really need a whole lot. It's like you don't need this crazy huge dedication thing. It's just nice to be thought of. And I feel the same way about like Mother's Day. It's like whatever, like, the entire day. It's not Christmas. It's a very different um thing in my opinion, but still at the same time, like I guess for men specifically, like it's a little bit more important to us in a sense of dads often get like a bad rap, for
Yeah.
like even the good ones, like they
You say dads don't expect anything, and I was talking about this earlier, to where it's like, so my whole day today was doing stuff for other people. So like, it was her birthday, it was Father's Day, I did yard work. People are coming over because they want to celebrate, which like, people coming over, it is what it is. I can't do what I want, so I'm doing that instead. And we're grilling, and now I just had some time to myself, and we're doing this show. But I'm really excited to get off here after the show. Not that I don't like doing the show, but when I get off, I'm gonna start the boys because the season just started, and
yeah, I got to do that too.
I'm gonna eat 2 cheeseburgers, and like I'm so excited, and it's so little, and I'm so happy with it. So like because I'm at service all day, even the littlest thing is like, man, this is gonna be awesome. I
Well,
can't wait for this.
well, yeah. So like parenting in general, both sides, I would say, is most often like a thankless job, right? Like nobody's
Right,
really gonna thank you for doing what the fuck you're supposed to do,
right.
and that makes sense. Like I get it, but we are all human, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is nice to I get it, like Mother's Day, Father's Day, like it's just a way for us to just make some money. Like that's how the economy works. Like, oh, buy this bullshit, and like that's really what it is. But take all that away, it's just really nice to have a little bit of acknowledgement, for the things that you do. Like I remember getting some of those cards, they would almost like put me in tears, and it's just like, damn, dude, like it hits you like hard. But again, like just a little bit of appreciation. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Like those little cards that seem so silly for $5 where you write some thoughts and feelings down.
No money.
Yeah, no money, no gift cards. But I mean, like but it's not about that though.
Yeah.
It's really nice to just get that, like, that
You all,
thank you.
you also, and I'm not trying to, because we are going to save this subject for another show. But the last thing I want to say is, like, to get you get it through doing good things. So like, you spend time with your kids, you do something for them, you take them out, and you'll find little pieces of like how thankful they are, how much fun they're having, how much it means to them, and you
Yeah.
did that, so it makes you feel good in return. Like today, I told you, and you talked about it with me. Sparkling Zero, Dragon Ball Z. My son is a big Dragon Ball Z fan. He's watching it right now before he goes to bed. Like he's
Awesome.
on the Majin Buu.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's on the Majin Buu saga, and like Sparkling Zero, we've been following it because he's a big Dragon Ball Z's fighter, which is like, a Street Fighter version. But I tell him, I'm like, he's like, I want to play online, and it's a dead game, so nobody's there.
Yeah.
So like he'll wait for like 20 minutes and then he'll just get a sweat. And then he's like, man, that was still pretty fun. I'm like, look, the next Dragon Ball Z game, we're just going to get it on the ground floor. I'm going to get you all the DLC and we're just going to go at it hard. And Sparkling Zero, from what I saw, because a lot of content creators got early access to it, I think they only had 30 minutes to get footage though for their YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and each of them, man, this game looks smooth. It looks fast paced. It just looks like it reminds me of Smash in a way that like your reactions are your responsibility. There is no
Hmm.
latency in the gameplay. It's what you can do and how you can fight.
Yeah. Sure. I'm really excited, for this game to come out. Every Dragon Ball Z game that hits is not always like a win for me, but it's not to say that they have been bad games. What I like about the franchise is over the years they've experimented and switched up styles and kind of catered to different types of fighting games or something with more RPG elements, and it's just always been like a lot of fun. Going way back, I remember in the 90s the first Dragon Ball game that I really got into was on PlayStation. It was called Dragon Ball GT. And
Uh
then,
huh.
like, there was one on like Nintendo that I honestly barely remember. It was like, I was like, I think that's supposed to be Dragon Ball, like it was like 8-bit, like rough. But Dragon Ball GT was that was different, bro. And like we didn't even know who half the characters were yet. So like you could unlock Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Like I never
Right. He's all red. What are you
like the
talking
manga
about?
hadn't even really made it like fully out here, but we were just like, I don't know. And they had combos and like meteor attacks, and you could fight the Super Baby, the Golden Azaru, and
Yeah.
there was like secret combos where you could do like Spirit Bomb with Goku, and it would take like a whole health bar, and it was so much fun. Me and my buddies like used to rent it all the time. It was like the Japanese version with nothing in their English, but we were like making it out, and we just passed the memory cards, go back and forth each other's houses, and it was like the best like 3-year run of my little life. And that built up. We went into PS2 and they came out with Budokai 1, 2, and 3. One was great. Two, they were like, it was like they took the manga, like the animation, like it looked like the
Right.
cartoon, like, and I was like, yo, I didn't even know games could do this. And by the time they came out with 3, like they had perfected their element, man. And we knew who the characters were at this point.
Yeah,
Like,
three was a big one for me and my friends. That was the one where you got the capsules and like you can put like modifications. So if I remember, Goku had one to where you can give him that heart disease, but it
yeah,
gives him a boost, but it drains his health.
yeah.
And like we were just so into like I would bring my memory card over, they would bring them over, and we would do the same thing for SmackDown versus Raw. You bring your card over, you upload your character, and then this is your loadout now, your build.
You know what? Before we get off subject for that though, I think what it was is it wasn't Goku that it didn't give him a boost. I want to say that you could equip your character with a capsule that would give the heart disease to your opponent, and your opponent would have the option, before going into battle, to have like the vaccine or whatever, like
Uh
as
huh.
to combat it and stop it or like slow it down. Like it was really well thought out. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but it's been a long time. Hopefully, someone can correct us in the clip or the comments. But it's either Goku, you put it on him, and he takes your health. It might have been his Super Saiyan form too that takes his health, or you're correct. So I don't remember which one because it's been like 2 decades, over two
Yeah,
decades since we
we'd
played
have
it.
to look it up for concrete facts, but like I'm pretty certain what I said is kind of how that dynamic was.
Yeah. So
You
so
brought it back, but go ahead.
Yeah, so moving on with these games, you said that every Dragon Ball Z game doesn't hit. And I know we were excited about Kakarot, but me and you both couldn't get into it. My reason was because the story was so cut and paste. We knew that story over and over and over again, and we were just going through the motions, and eventually you fall off and you want to do something interesting. It's not that the game wasn't fun, but it was interesting, and there's a lot of people that feel that way. And I just want to tell people, now that I got to the Buu saga in Kakarot, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, it is getting a lot more interesting, combat wise, material wise, the way you're farming, and just the way it looks story wise. I think it's enough to keep your attention now. And I don't know why they waited so long to do it, but right now it's like graphically, you remember how the show was, and then you see how the game is.
Hmm.
It's pretty much like an upgrade. It's pretty much like you're watching one of the movies that they put together, and it's cinematic events. And I think that's why they're putting out so much DLC, because people that got that far, they're in it now. They're lifers. They're getting every DLC that comes out for this game now.
Well, so for us, I mean, the story for me has just been dragged out because like every single game, and I'm gonna correct that in a second, but basically every single game has been the same story with maybe a very light modification or something, but it's essentially the same, and it's just like beating a dead horse at this point. So for me, it was really hard to like get back into the game, and because I couldn't get into the story, I was kind of being overly critical for anything I didn't like about the game, because it's like if you can't get into the story or the lore at all, like all right, so I guess I'll do this other stuff. But I was kind of being, I don't want to say like a jerk about it, but I mean the things that I didn't like were really bugging me. Where if I would have been more into the story, I probably wouldn't have noticed as much.
Exactly.
But what I will say is that for younger people, specifically like this new generation with the kids that are going through it, that maybe have only watched Dragon Ball like one time through or whatever, they haven't played all the same games, again and again and again and again like we have.
Right.
So for them, it's not that they don't know, but like they haven't, they haven't been beat to death with it. So like they're really into it and they're really enjoying it, and that's super important to me that this new generation is being taken care of. So it's like, you know what? Like I had to take a step back and look at that, and it's like if you guys are enjoying this for what it is with more modernized graphics and whatever, then you know what? I got nothing bad to say.
And you're completely right, because how many times did we have to hold Raditz, in how many different ways?
You gotta move the
Yeah.
analog. He's moving. Piccolo or
Or press
whatever.
R1, R1, L1, L1.
But
And
you know
it's
what?
like there's
My favorite one though, out of all those, was probably the Xenoverse series, for 1 and 2. Uh,
love
it
those
played
games.
it played a lot like Tenkaichi, which wasn't my favorite,
Uh
but I know a lot of people loved it, so like that was an issue. You get used to it, and I loved like the customization of your character. That was
we love that game, right? I
stupid
loved
fun.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
both of them in their own rights were great. But what I really liked is that because they were doing like a time manipulation thing, they were just constantly changing the story. So they would like take something like, this is what's supposed to happen, but here's what's happening now, and that was like a breath of fresh air. Like
That was so cool.
that's what they needed. Yeah, like that's all I wanted was like
And they're
different
still
stuff,
coming out with
different enemies.
DLC.
They are, yeah.
They're still
And
updating it.
but like that's the part that like I super loved about it. So I think when I got used to that and was enjoying it, and I didn't really care for Fighter Z, like it's beautiful game, plays very well. I'm just trash at like Marvel vs. Capcom style
Yeah,
fighting
yeah.
games. I like no matter what I did. I think I bought the game twice, bro, and I just could not get good with it. I bought it on
Well,
PC, I bought it on PlayStation, and I just was like, this is not worth me playing.
the problem is they force you to play a style in that game, and if you don't like that style, you're dead in the water. And I honestly think that's what happened with you. And like, I don't like that kind of fighting either. I like, smoother. I like counters.
But it's a great game. Like I'm not
It
knocking
is.
it. Like if you mess with it, it's cool. Like unbiasedly looking in, the graphics are phenomenal. The
Uh,
story things that they put are there. They super take care of their people as far as like additional content over the years. Like it's been fantastic. And from
yeah.
what I've seen, because I watch a lot of people play it, it comes off as being very very well balanced, which is lovely.
It
So I
is.
mean,
Even all the characters you have to buy, very well balanced.
yeah, like I got to give it tens across the board, even though I'm straight trash at it. Like I was so sad. I was like, maybe I'll get good. I'm not. That's the same reason I don't buy Street Fighter games, bro. Like sometimes you got to just
Yeah,
stay in your lane.
and my son likes Fighter, but unfortunately, it's just me and him and like 5 other people in the world that play it right now, which is fine. But one of the things in Sparkling Zero, I don't know how close you've been following it, but they did modify the story in a way to where it does start with Raditz coming to Earth,
Okay.
but then they wiggled it. Like, you'll be fighting with Gohan and you'll be fighting with Goku, but you'll be doing it in different situations and with
Okay.
different people.
I like that.
And it's like, I can dig that. If you want to start the story here and end it here, but you're going to make it interesting along the way. Look, I mean, I watched Lord of the Rings, the 3 movies and then the 3 Hobbits,
Mm-hmm.
like once every 2 years, once every year sometimes. And
That's
I
that's
enjoy
that's a
it.
lot. I enjoyed that franchise for what it is. I don't think I'll ever be able to sit down like through those again though. They're so long, and I'm just like
Yeah,
But
I can do
but I
that
ain't
with
hating
that
on them.
franchise.
Yeah, do your
Right.
thing.
They're great movies. I do the same thing for the three Pirates of the Caribbean. You know, they're just good times, and you like to go back there. I can do the same thing with the storyline in Dragon Ball Z, and especially if they tweak it a little bit, it's just better. And I think they're starting to figure that out. Like we said, how many times can you hold Raditz for Piccolo to shoot you both? Like, what can we do to make this like more appealing to people that have done it a million times? And I think they figured it out. But I think the big thing about Sparkling Zero is going to be the gameplay for people that actually want to be good at this game. You're going to be able to do some fantastic things.
Oh yeah, I mean the combos that I was watching looked amazing. I did see one thing that I found really interesting is that the community was basically like, man, I miss split screen, and they were like, say less, we're gonna add that in. So I think
Yeah.
there's one level now that has it, but they said by the time the game launches, it should be an option, if not mandatory, with split screen for like all of them. And I was like, that's amazing. Like I'm actually really excited about that. Like that old school touch. I don't think it's asking too much.
Let me tell you something. We like before I got on here, me and the family were playing a game, and there's four of us. And every game we were playing except what's the Rage one? Rage 4, Streets of Rage.
Oh yeah, Streets of Rage.
Yeah, that's a free game, so we picked it up and we were playing it.
Love that
And
game.
yeah, it was all right. We had fun. Turned friendly fire off, of course. It's actually pretty tough with the four of us. Like, there's only like we'll make it to the end, and there's like two people, so it's really interesting, really fun. But just a split screen in some games, like Mercenary Slugs or Mercenary Kings. I mean, apologize, Mercenary Kings. It's like four, and man, that's a real problem. Especially, I'm just not used to it. It's like playing on a little screen and you're far away. I'm like, man, this is like nobody's enjoying this. But like when you're playing Sparkling Zero and you guys are on a split screen, it's like they have throws in there now. So you may go way, way across the map. Like it's one of those combinations. Like if you're blocking, you can grab them and there's nothing they can do. And you go way across the map and the split screens just look so clean. And like I'm a big fan of vertical, not a cross.
I feel like I could adapt either way, but the vertical was probably a little bit smoother.
Yeah, if they give you the option, that's cool too. Because I understand the appeal to both, but I like the vertical because you get the whole character because he's standing up. So,
Right. Well,
I would say FPS across anything else vertical. Yeah.
yeah, and I have been playing more FPS games lately, so I'm definitely trying to like kind of get those into my rotation. It's different, but I don't know. I've just been trying to mix it up lately.
What
So
did you think of
that's
Apex? You never told me.
I enjoyed Apex. I mean, I definitely had a harder time with it than Fortnite by the time we started getting to like more skilled people. Like that was obvious. But I still was enjoying it. Like I understood it. I felt kind of semi comfortable. I'm
You
looking
need to.
forward to playing some more.
I'd never liked Valorant. I always felt like it was unbalanced. When I was playing, there was cheaters. They said that they worked against that, but it was just I never had fun with Valorant. Apex. The key to a good FPS to have people play it all the time is you need to have fun while you lose.
Right. No, I can definitely agree with that. And I
Yeah,
think with Apex, Apex is like I don't like traditional Fortnite. I don't like the build stuff, right? But I love the no
right.
build that they added in. Like that's actually a lot of
Zero
fun.
build. Yeah,
Zero build, yeah. So I mean, to me, that's just how Apex feels. So it's like kind of the same thing, but with like a different look, a feel, different weapons and stuff. But the style's fun, and obviously the little perks and things I'm not used to. But I'm definitely
it looks
gonna
gorgeous too, right?
clock. It looks great. Yeah, I'm gonna clock in some
Yeah.
more hours with you guys. And I think we'll make it something that we try to find a little bit of time, at least like once a week if we can. I mean, why not? I'll stream it, mix it up. I'm not over RPG games, but I kind of made a thing talking about men's mental health on like TikTok, and one of the points I was trying to make, it's tough because I had a minute to like make the video, but
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of I'm like kind of coming out of like a what we'll call a
Funk.
depression, a funk,
Yeah.
definitely like depression though, because the only way I could describe it was feeling like having a heavy book bag and it's just on you all the time, and it's just
Yeah.
like you can wear a book bag, like this isn't so bad, but 6 hours into it with 40 or 50 pounds, and you're gonna be like, dude, I hate my life, like this sucks.
Yeah. This sucks.
And
This is miserable.
yeah, and that's kind of like just how the days have felt, and it was weird because I was having a hard time like I'd like sit down to like play video games or like do whatever it is that I normally do that I would use as sort of like a crutch or a vice to kind of get through a rough day or a rough whatever. And I just wasn't enjoying things like the same.
Yeah.
So I mean, eventually, like I kind of just left things alone, and that didn't help that much. But then I decided to revisit them, but kind of like a little bit different. So like for instance, like the gym, I started going to an entirely new gym. So like I don't recognize any of the people that are going in there. It's like I go to LA Fitness and I just can't cancel my other gym membership. But I just picked a totally different location. It's a different feel, a different vibe, different hours. A different drive there, and it's like these are things that sort of start to change like your subconscious, because you never know what can happen. Like when you do the same shit every single day, and you don't want to eat the same thing every day. Your body, your brain like needs like something new, something different. So
Right.
all of a sudden, like, I'm going there and like, I'm not hating working out as much. Like it's making me feel like a little bit better. Or like with video games, I'll enjoy it, but like I'll have like a 30-minute window where I would play like Final Fantasy and like all of a sudden like I just don't even want to do this anymore. But like we got on the FPS game, I streamed for 5 hours and then played a little bit more after I got off the stream. And
Well,
it's
that's also you were playing with friends too. I
well,
think you would enjoy like Uno too. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, yeah, but I mean, it's just like that breath of fresh air, and yes, like having your friends being a part of it. Because I have people that come into my streams, and we chit chat. Sometimes they hop in Discord, but this just was different. I needed something different, and that goes across the board with like so many things. So honestly, the more I think about it, it kind of goes into the Dragon Ball franchise too. Like, I think that every once in a while they've got to mix it up. They've got to make a change. Like I don't think anybody, I shouldn't say anybody, but a lot of people wouldn't be like me or you. Like if they were just like, all right, we're coming out with Fighter Z2 and Kakarot again, like we'd be like, okay, but they were like, okay, we're gonna switch up the rotation. You guys need a change. We're gonna go back to a system that worked before, but we're gonna do it like 10 times better than we've ever done it. Like your
right.
favorite game, Budokai 3, that didn't go online. What if it did, but better? I was like, okay, yeah. And it just feels good to get excited about something again. So I don't know. I didn't
It,
have like a specific point I was getting with
yeah,
this,
yeah,
but
but you obviously have more fun playing these FPS, and like you're on Apex. The boys put me on to X Defiant, which is free. They got a battle pass. It just came out a little bit ago, and it was just nonstop fun. I played with Sour Jay. You're gonna end up on Overwatch. I know you never played it, but that's where you're gonna end up. That's gonna be home.
eventually maybe. But
Yeah.
I don't want to bite off more than I can chew.
I
Like if
played with one of your Twitch people the other day.
somebody,
Posen.
oh yeah. So that she's awesome. Like I don't know her like super super well. I've only met her once, but she is roommates with Vina, who did the original Libby art for Body Snatchers. So
Ah, that's
Vina,
cool.
yeah, Vina's a pretty good friend of mine.
Oh, I know
We
you're talking about the blonde.
Yeah, we often like will like get on and hang out like like VR, like we do the best we can 'cause she's on the other side of the country, so we just try to like link up and stay connected. And the last TwitchCon in San Diego, I was able to meet up with them, and I met her now fiance, because well, actually, did they get married? I forget, but they're getting married. So I met him at the time, and I also met her roommate, Posen, who is the streamer. So just kind of got to meet everybody. Everybody's super awesome. And Posen was telling me, I think she jumped into my stream, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I was with the guys the other day." I was like, "Oh, for real? That's what's up." So I don't know, small world, but it's like nice for me to see like people that I talk to like
Yeah,
coming together,
she's
and
very nice. Great healer. We had fun.
that's good, man. Yeah, like I don't know, it always makes me happy when people that like I know mutually like kind of come together and find a way to like vibe. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, and shout out to Sour who just he dug his toes into the sand and he is just getting good at every game he plays now. I don't remember him being this good at Fortnite. X Defined, he's killing. Overwatch, he's almost every time he's played the game. Like he just figured something out. He might be juicing. Like for him to be that good, he might be juicing.
Hacks, bro, hacks.
That's what I say. If they beat me, they hacked. But
No, that's
Sparkling,
cool though.
yeah, Sparkling Zero, I've been following it. It's coming out in October, and the way they make these moves look, the way they make these characters look, it's going to be really fun. And I hope it's just like Smash Bros, to where it just sticks around and the community stays giant. Like there's these games, like on the high end Smash Bros, the community is always going to be there. On the low end, Diablo 4 community's there for 2 weeks and then they're gone. They'll be back later.
They
You
yeah,
know,
they come and they go, but I like with the trailer for this game, it's hard to describe, but something about it just gets me so excited
it
because
seems fun.
I mean, it's like literally like some of the best friends I've made that live in other pockets of the country, that I go out of my way to like try to give a quick call once a month or whatever. Like those
Mhm.
friends were made playing like Budokai 2 and 3. Like people like I would meet at like the skate park or in the neighborhood or maybe from school, and we would just like maybe we both owned it or I owned it, they owned it, whatever the case was, and we would go to each other's houses because online play wasn't really a thing, and we would just sit and like it was like this healthy competition where we would just grind, and we would play for like, dude, 15, 16 hours at a time, just going back and forth until our freaking thumbs were about to bleed. And it was just one of the best things about growing up. So I think there is like a level of nostalgia when I look at this kind of stuff, and it's like the idea of not only being able to experience that for ourselves again, but to be able to like give a phone call to those dudes, because now that online play is a thing, like, hey man, like, you trying to like order a DoorDash pizza or something and just get on the sticks and play? You're in Florida or
Yeah.
Ohio or wherever you're at, and I'll be over here in California, and we just like old times. Like, I don't think anything sounds better to me. Like, there's nothing that sounds better to me in my life right now than like getting on with like the boys and reliving like that old school experience.
Well, I always say the most attractive thing about nostalgia is the memory of it. And Tony Soprano said the lowest form of conversation is remember when. And what I mean by that is I have a Steam Deck. It's fully loaded with like 2000 retro games. All my favorite games. Legends of Legaia, Mega Man Legends 1 and 2, all the Marios, even new ones, ROM hacks, every Pokemon you can think of, they're all on there. And when I start playing them, there's nothing there. There's no ambition. What, not because I already beat them, but just because there's so many better games out, and we know that, and they offer so much, and they're updated weekly.
Well, you've always felt that way, and I don't think that a lot of gamers feel that same sentiment. So for me, last time we had this conversation, I'll use the same game as an example. I want to say it was last year. Legend of Dragoon came out, and they kind of like updated a few things in the sense of just like colors and stuff. They didn't do. There's nothing.
Textures, yeah.
There was no major overhaul to it by any means. You really couldn't. And I mean, if I'm being honest, I loved it just as much as I did before, if not more, just because, as an adult, I guess I could like see things like there'd be like little things in the game that I didn't like fully comprehend, and I didn't realize at the time when I was a kid, but as an adult, like going through it, like, okay, they mean this, they mean that, like, okay. And it was just like a great time. I mean, I'll admit, like, the graphics, are kind of tough at times. But
Uh-huh.
for me, gaming is not solely about graphics. Of course, I want a mixture of some updated games, yeah, but there's some gems out there that you can go back to. But like, I mean, if Budokai 3 came out and they're like it's going to have online play, I would be ridiculously excited. But what's important to note here is, like, they took all that base stuff that was there, and
Uh-huh.
it's got a major facelift. You know what I mean? Like, this is way better than what we could have anticipated. So I think we're going to get some of that nostalgia high that people want. But to your point, we're not going to be worried about it necessarily like disappointing, because I mean, everything is has been modernized and brought to 2024. I think that this game, if it plays as well as I expect it to play based on everything that I've seen, this is the type of game that I think is going to kind of elevate the community a little bit and sort of push boundaries in our expectations for fighting games like moving forward. It's unique to Dragon Ball, but people are going to be like, is anybody else going to take a crack at this? You know what I mean? Like, I think it's going to be that much fun. We've never really had this on that level before.
And every content creator that I've seen that played it, they said they took all the good things from all their favorite Dragon Ball fighting games and they brought it here, including Frieza's doing his thing and Goku's doing his thing, and now there's a mini game in there. And
Yeah.
like you have a boost that sacrifices your energy. And it's like that's a kind of fighting style that people like. They like warping behind their opponent. They like blocking. They like the grabs. They like the combos. They like the saving up for that
They
powerful
even,
move.
do you remember in Budokai 3, not only did they have a block and a basic dodge, but you could do the sort of almost like the after image effect where
Yeah.
if you timed it right, like tapping X, it would take your key energy, but you could like be disappearing like through the punches. And I was like, dude, I don't know
Yeah,
who
that
thought of this. Yeah, the
yeah.
best thing ever. Like they just added so many layers where it was like a subtle thing, but it was like a core dynamic of the game. Like I was like, oh nah, dude, we're in this. And one of the things, going back on something I said earlier about Fighter Z was how well balanced it is. One of the things that I think everybody's excited about is they've been very blunt at saying like, yo, this game is not balanced. It is not that on purpose. You know,
Yeah.
if you've got Krillin and he's going against Super Saiyan Blue Goku, like there's going to be a damage difference, and you've got to be better with Krillin. You've got to figure out what advantages he has, his play style, and really master him. And that sounds pretty exciting to me. I
I
can't.
hope he has some advantages. Like I want to main Diplo.
I
Like
would guess
it
like his hitbox, just hypothetically, what might be a little bit tougher.
because he's
Um,
shorter. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's probably like not a ton, but maybe there's certain moves that he'll be able to get off faster. Like maybe Destructo Disc or whatever. Like something takes less energy, so you can pop him off. Like it's not going to be perfectly balanced, but I'm sure somebody who wants to be really good with Krillin, just hypothetically, can make it work, because we've seen it work in those games in the past where it was like damn, bro, they got a Mega Shenron and his punches hurt. Like,
And they are doing something like that because they did mention that Diplo has a move set that favors speed. So like if you got a problem with speed characters, this guy's one of them. And like they have their own little move set, they have their own little attacks. They might have their own little hitboxes too, and I do like that. I do like variety. I don't want a meta. I want different. And like if they can figure that out, that would be awesome. Like I don't want to be like, all right, everyone's Ultra Instinct for obvious reasons. I want it to be like, all right, man, he's a really good hit, or
yeah.
like that's what I want. I want everybody to be available for somebody's main.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be so many characters and additional characters coming out. Like I cannot wait. One thing that I did want to say really quick though, and we really should have started off with this, but it's still relevant. I wanted to say, rest in peace, Akira Toriyama. We lost
Mm-hmm.
him recently, and I mean that dude was just he's goated. He's forever goated. Like they do like weird stuff over the years and kind of forget some of his writings and like silly stuff, sure, but like all the criticism aside, this dude created one of the best franchises ever. Like my first anime that I ever like really got into was probably Dragon Ball, as a kid. And when I saw that slowly evolve into Dragon Ball Z and everything else, like, is Dragon Ball Z like one of the best animes ever written? Not necessarily, no. It's very broy, it's very simplistic, but that's
Uh-huh.
also kind of the beauty of it. Like, fuck it, these dudes are gonna scream until they get stronger. That doesn't have to make sense. We don't want it to make sense. We want
Yeah.
action, we want fighting, we want aliens, whatever. And like he brought us that. He never really disappointed.
Yeah,
And
dude, keep it simple. Dragon Ball Z was everywhere as a kid. It was everywhere. It was in
it still
school,
is,
like
yeah.
pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's dare I say, I don't know about a lot of the communities, but for like the black community, like when being anime nerdish like wasn't that cool, there was a lot of us that got together and like we just like had this mutual understanding where we thought martial arts was so cool. We'd play fight and cut each other's asses all day. We'd play these video games for hours. We would all wanted to be little artists, so we would sit down and draw, like spend hours trying to sketch out Goku or something else over the weekend, and we'd all show up to class on Monday like, look at mine, look at yours, and like, I mean, like Dragon Ball did that, bro. Like Dragon Ball brought like some of the best friends that I've ever had for life together, like all because of that. And then even like the gym, all this stuff, all the shirts that came out, Train and Saiyan or whatever, like all that stuff, like that's all the brainchild of Akira Toriyama, just
Well, it's
mutated and evolving over the years.
it's spread too. If you got 10 people in a room and one of them like Guyver, they're gonna fuck with that guy for liking Guyver because it's a terrible anime. But if you
It's
got
not, but all right, okay.
all right, but if you
Had two
got
live
like
action movies.
if you got 8 people in that room that like Dragon Ball Z, those 2 people are like, even if they don't know anything about it, they're going to keep an open mind because there's 8 people in front of them that absolutely love it. And I feel like it's spread like wildfire. And then those people just don't go away. Once you love Dragon Ball Z, no one's going to be like, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
It lost my interest after Tournament of Power. It just doesn't happen. And
Yeah, that's the thing, is like I'll be upset about certain stuff. I'm just like, oh my god, like Dragon Ball Super upset me for all kinds of reasons, but really just because they were kind of copy and pasting some stuff, and that's what annoyed me. But like if I look at things individually, it was a lot of fun,
It was a
and
lot of fun, and
and you
that's what you
can't
need
take
to
that
take it
away.
for.
Yeah, you got like I think the thought process that kind of screws me up is, because like, okay, that show stops or, goes on hiatus for a little bit, or the manga, whatever. And then we jump into a show that like has, more, writing focused stuff happening. And you come back to Dragon Ball, and sometimes it's hard to make that switch because you have this expectation of Dragon Ball being a bit deeper, but like it's never been super deep. And it never will be. And like, as much as I hate to say it, I like that there's been some improvements in writing, but at the same
Right.
time, if it did become this, elaborate thing, I don't think it would get the love that it has. People like it because it's easy to digest, you know, and I think that like it's a balance in the anime force, if you will. Like
Well,
you got to
I
have that.
remember, I remember saying it was goofy because I was watching Dragon Ball Super weekly the same time I was watching Doctor Stone, and Doctor Stone is
It
like,
couldn't be more polar opposites.
yeah, yeah, and Doctor Stone was like, man, this is pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Then you go to Dragon Ball Super, and then it's like, Goku gets hit by a car holding a giant fish, and that was the episode.
You know what? But they had fun with it, and I'm perfectly fine with that, man. All of it. It just continues to inspire. I'm really really excited for the game. It's like I want to say more, but I'm having like a hard time like putting it into words. Like I just, I think we kind of
I think
said
it's going
every.
to be fun. I think it's going to be fun. People are going to get it day one. They're really going to practice. They're really going to get their mains. This is going to be the first game that I just don't get the standard. I'm getting the full shebang, whatever they got, and
Yeah,
I
what
usually
I
don't do
agree.
that.
Yeah, what I mean,
Yeah,
I will for certain franchises, but yeah, whatever it is, like day one, I'm locked in. I might even take a day off work. Like I don't got shit going on in my life. Might as well be a Dragon Ball Z weekend.
there we go. I'm with you. I mean, it'll be fun. It'll be fun to do tournaments. I mean, usually I wait like a day or two, but the reviews come out before the game is out, so like I feel like this game is going to be a lot better than people expect. People got low expectations all around the board for this game, just because it's been done. But
Who's
when
got
you
low
watch,
expectations though? I like. I mean, I'm not knocking you. I'm just saying I haven't seen it. Everything I've seen has been overwhelmingly positive. I know
well,
there's a couple new generation people that like we're kind of like giving it shade a little bit. But if you go to the comments of any new gen video, like there's 5,000 people in the comments. They're just like, bro, you're wrong for all these reasons. And that's kind of the important thing, right? Like you
well,
can't
with
just.
with the exception of the latest Street Fighter, fighting games are always fighting uphill for good reviews because it's just they're not in depth games. They're not games that people play for a long time.
Well, the new Mortal Kombat had really good reviews. I played that one. I actually really enjoyed it. I wasn't like a beast at it, but as far as like the story mode and just having fun was concerned, like it was really well put together, breath of fresh air. And I also felt that way about Tekken 8. Like I was concerned just because Tekken 7. I'm like, how are we gonna top that? And it's tough to again pinpoint like all the finer details. But Tekken 8 was just really really smooth. They took out a lot of things that I didn't realize annoyed me from Tekken 7 and made it better in 8. So yeah, I mean, but I get what you're saying. Like that's not like overwhelmingly positive reviews, but I think that they've been doing better as of late. I think that for the fan base that they're delivering to, it's been solid. Like Street Fighter, remember, I think it was 5 where they delivered like a shell of a game. There was like 8 characters, maybe 6, like when it
Yeah,
first came out. Like that's something you don't do. Like that was when the video game industry was like going in a direction that
but dude,
I'm
it
glad we
has to
came
be
back.
it has to be hard to make like a good campaign for a fighting game or like something more than just like all right, you're fighting each other. All right, can we put a battle pass on that? How would that work?
I
Or
don't I,
how can we keep these players here in a
I don't
fighting
think
game?
that like it doesn't have to be super hard. So like go back to Budokai 3 real quick. One of the biggest things that set Budokai 3 outside of like the gameplay being smoother and the animation looking even more like the cartoons and stuff, but what set it apart from 1 and 2 was they had a map where even though it was really limited, you could fly around and you'd like hover over an area that
Uh huh.
had fighting or a level like a city, and then Goku would like flip out of the sky or like power like zip down or whatever,
And then you
and
were in a fight.
then you felt like you were in the city. Yeah, and Kakarot has a lot of that too, but again, we're going all the way back to the first time we saw something like that.
Right.
and that was fantastic. Mortal Kombat, kind of like Street Fighter, has been more of like a tournament style thing over the years, which is kind of simple. A lot of fighting games stayed safe with that. But fast forwarding to like Tekken 8, they have a feature where it reminds you a little bit of Street Fighter, but like different, So like you'll pick a spot on a map, like a city, you go into that city, and it's you kind of have like a almost looks like a Nintendo like me character, and
Uh-huh.
there's a whole bunch of them in there, and you walk around and they have like little tiny storylines where your character is walking up to an arcade. Like that's where you're playing Tekken. So like they have like their own story, where dudes are talking shit to you and you got to beat like the best guy in this club, and almost like a Pokemon gym or something. Like but like you know what I mean? Like it added this layer that is kind of fun. If you want to like press X and spam through it, you can, no problem. But if you're looking for a little bit of a twist and some story, like I think they did a good job. And the
Street Fighter did it
collectibles,
too. It was
yeah.
like you go into a room and everyone's at an arcade and you put your quarter there and you get to fight them.
Street Fighter
And
had you running around looking like Grand Theft Auto, just giving hands to innocent bystanders.
Yeah.
But like it was fun, like and it's like you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just take a little bit more time to add some areas where you can do shit like that, and like people are gonna talk about it. That's all we want.
It's just I don't understand. The new Smash Bros game, that campaign was so boring.
It
I don't
was.
know I don't know anybody that finished it, but then you go back to Brawl to where they turned it into like not only was it a fantastic story for like adults, but like it was like a Mario level,
Yeah.
and then you go into Smash Bros fighting. And then you get different characters, and then you go into Smash Bros fighting. You don't get to choose your character, you just go along for the story. And I'm like, what a perfect way and what a ridiculous reason not to do it again. Like in a fighting game, that has to be one of the top campaigns I
Well,
played
I think the thing
is Brawl.
for Smash though, and I could be speaking, a little bit out of pocket, but in my opinion, I've never really cared for like the storyline that they try to like fabricate. It's always just been about like getting into those levels and teaming up with your friends or online competition and just like really going ham. Which is interesting because a lot of games that are fighting games, like when they have like a story mode, like I'll be annoyed because like you have to play as a bunch of people like I'm not good with or don't want to get good with. So I'm like, I don't know, put that shit on easy so I can just get over it and learn the story. But I still have fun to some extent. But with Smash, like I kind of didn't. It felt a lot like a chore, and I wish they could do better with that. But I also understand that Smash is different when you're looking at like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or something like that, because all those characters have always been in the same universe, and they add on a DLC with some extra stuff later. Smash in its entirety is literally all characters from individualized universes, and I think it's nearly impossible to make a really solid story out of that. And we saw that when they did what was that game that had a lot of hype that was like one of the worst games ever? Jump Force?
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you throw in a bunch of, stuff where individually it's amazing, but it's, all together and you try to make it good, you might not be able to. I think like the best approach is to, just keep it simple and let people enjoy the fighting aspect and having characters from different universes having a chance to fight each other. Like
Well,
that's the most
that's why
important
I
thing.
think Brawl was so successful, because they put them all in the same universe. The bad guys were working together, the good guys were working together. And then they would introduce characters like everybody's getting beat up, everybody's getting turned into stone. Then Sonic comes in and he just saves everyone. Or Kirby is the main character, essentially, and
Yeah,
he's just overpowered. And, stuff like that is pretty cool. And Meta Knight is having, dialogue with Kirby, and they put everyone in the same world, and it's like all hands on deck with all these characters. And
it's
I
it's
know
it's simple, but it works.
it works, and it's so much fun. You're like, I got to see what happens next, but this level's hard. I got to figure something out.
Yeah, and it's like I wouldn't dare say that the newest one was bad by any means, but you're right. I think that like if I had to pick the weakest part of that game that I just I didn't enjoy it at all was
No, nobody did. Nobody did. It wasn't just you. Spirits, nobody cares about spirits.
no, and I take my hat off to them for trying something new, trying to make it work, because that's how we progress in the
And
gaming
that's what it
industry.
was. That's what it was. People just thought, oh, it's a fighting game. You just do matches. Well, do matches over and over in this way. And no, you got a little bit of farming, you got a little bit of materials, you got these cards called spirits. But
Yeah,
it's like nobody wanted to do that. And nobody even uses items in Smash anymore. Like they turn them off and they fight each other. Like they remove the items. So it's like they tell you what they want this game to be because they're playing that part. So when you make the next one, let's revolve around the stuff that works, because Nintendo used to have worldwide tournaments of this game. Well, how are they playing that game? All right, well, they're taking out the items. All right, well, they have 2 platforms. All right, well, let's build off that. These characters are banned. Why are they banned? Why is everyone banning them? Something like that. Let's just see what works, put those in motion, and put them forward and make them bigger.
Yeah.
But what do I know? I'm sitting here talking to you.
Hey, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having ideas and conversations, and people listen to it. Some people are going to agree, some people are definitely going to disagree, and that's definitely where things get tricky, because in that statement alone, like, you're never going to please everybody.
Right.
The idea is to try your best to please the masses, and if you can do something that is well known but slowly make it a little different, or disguise it as something that's basically the same but it feels like a totally different thing, that's where the challenge lies, I think, in these big games. And indie games, for instance, indie games are doing good because indie games don't need to play it safe. Indie games are like, fuck it, I thought this was going to be cool, so I put it in the game, and it was a passion
Yeah.
project, and you either like it or you don't. Kiss my ass.
Like the developers in Power World, I don't even know how to make games. That's what they said. They don't really know how to make games.
Yeah, but like, it was a blast. I mean, was it short lived? Sure, but those 2 months where we were just on there every day, shooting fake Pokemon. I mean, and picking them up and riding their backs and
Oh yeah,
blowing shit up. I mean, it was a blast.
we'll be back. We'll be back with the next update. Like, how can anyone not?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
it was so much fun.
they made their money. I don't care. Come out with Pocket Pal World or some shit. Whatever you choose to do, like, I'll check it out. Like, it was just fun.
Yeah.
And that's what I need. Like, I hated comparing Pokemon to it, because Pokemon is well built. But my thing with Pokemon, it's sort of like the Dragon Ball game, where they got actually a little different. Pokemon played it really, really safe. They have a formula that works so well with like graphic updates. But like, when you think about it, and I never really fully thought about it until I started designing my own game, but what makes Pokemon so much different than other games is, you take a game, damn near any like RPG-ish style game, where whatever it's like Melee or whatever the case may be, but your city is usually like a centralized location. So in that city, that's where you buy your health items, that's where you buy your weapons, that's where you start your quests, and then you leave and you come back to the city to turn them in, right? Like, that's your safe haven.
Right.
It propels the story. Pokemon has all of that, but what Pokemon did that was different was they put the boss in the same city that you're in. And now you've got to go through an adventure to get to that boss in the city, or you got to go to a city and come back. And like, that was kind of groundbreaking, because there's very few, if any, games at all did it, and they did it so well. And they disguise it as, oh, we're doing badges and we're doing the thing, but like, fuck all that. The boss is in the town. He wants
And
the
it's
smoke,
exciting.
but
It's
you
exciting.
gotta earn the smoke, and
Yeah.
and it just builds up this excitement. To your point, that I'm not saying you can't get from other games, but it feels very unique to Pokemon, and it's great. But the problem is, because they came up with a system that works so well, they've never really strayed away from it. I don't know if it's just like fear or whatever, but over the years, I mean, I start to feel kind of screwed, because we've got 20 plus years of them coming out with 1 to 3 games that are essentially the same game, where some stuff is in this one and some stuff is in that one, but it's kind of the same thing.
Right. They even make games to where it's like, here's the original 151. Like, come back, please. And it's like, I do understand why you can't change it, because then the game will degenerate into something else. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like, Pokemon can't hurt you. You can't hurt Pokemon. There's a reason for that. Like,
and they're trying new things, like the Arceus game, is pretty cool. The most recent one, granted, it was buggy because it was rushed, and I wish they would have spent a little bit more time on it. But that complaint aside, it was pretty fun. I mean, there was some new elements that they added, but they still haven't strayed too far away from that original recipe, and I think that that's what everybody kind of wants them to do. So we'll see. Like, in time, I think the difference between them and Dragon Ball, though, is Dragon Ball has tried so many different things. So they find a formula that works. They have 1, 2, 3 versions of that game, and then they switch it up and do something else.
right.
But revisiting a formula that was arguably like the best thing ever, and making it better, and taking in all the good stuff that we've loved, like out of the Tenkaichi series and so on. Even, what was that one that like wasn't super popular? I think Burst Limit, maybe it was. Do you remember that one? It was on
No, I
PS3.
think that's the one that's out now.
No. This was PS3. It was like burst limit. I want to say it was called. I'm gonna look it up real quick, just like kind of fact check myself.
There's a lot of them, but like there's people that are 25, 27 years old that have no idea how Budokai played. So it's like they're gonna be like, this is awesome. They finally figured it out.
Yeah, and for us old people, we're like, yes. But yeah,
It's
burst limit came out in '08, and burst limit was just like bad because it was sure it was unbalanced, which is like never been a huge deal, but it was like unbalanced to the point where they had like characters that were just really broken. So I remember
right.
people would like get Vegeta turn Super Saiyan, and then it was either Final Flash or like Gallic Gun, but online play like you could just spam it over and over where he had like no cooldown time. So
Right.
like you were either dodging, blocking until you can't do either, and then you're dead. And I just remember being like, this is awful. Like what are we doing here?
I'm a big fan of putting the moves into the combos too. I don't want just like, all right, I'm doing a destructo disc. Here I come. No, I like it when you get a combo off and you actually earn it.
Yeah, and I think that we'll get a lot of that in this game. I don't think it's going to disappoint. I think that this is the timing for this coming out right now is fantastic because there's so many new Dragon Ball Super fans. There's so many kids who you know are kind of like younger teenagers now who may have been, I don't know, like 8 or 9 when Kakarot came out. So, maybe that was their first Dragon Ball game. So like they're gonna be stupid excited for, getting a whole different play style. And then for us, people who have kind of been with the franchise this whole time, I mean, we're gonna be super excited. Like it's just streaming has never been bigger. Like there's just so many things happening that I think are going to back up this game and its success. Like I think it's going to do really, really well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So, yeah. Now, with that being said, I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to cover on this fine podcast episode, sir.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. Sparkling Zero. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. Um, I'm going to drag you through the dirt when this game comes out. I'm going to pulverize you into nothing. You're going to wish you had never picked up a controller. You're probably going to sell your PC and be pretty upset. You might have to leave your family.
You
Just remember
say
that.
this to me knowing that there's no one that you know that you can call that can beat me in Smash Bros. But you're going to come at me with another fighting game that you know nothing about and you think that you can beat me?
Yeah.
What did Zod say to Superman when he showed up? He's like, I've been training my whole life. Where did you train, on a farm? It's that situation. I've been playing fighting games nonstop while you've been
You and
playing
me
Final
have
Fantasy
the
6 or
same
whatever.
history in this, and you forget that I mopped the floor with you in Tekken.
No, you didn't mop the floor. I still got the videos.
I'm happy that you recorded a match that you won. You won a battle. I'll give you that you won a battle, but I mean, like the war.
It was 3 in a row. Whatever. You
Get
got beat
Tekken
by
8
King Flash Magic.
at any point in time. We can just get on and stream it live. We can put money on it. Whatever you want. We got Cash App or something.
I don't own Tekken 8. You're gonna have to buy it for me.
I'm not buying it for you, bro. You got this.
You cheap shit.
I mean, I win by default, I guess. I mean, you're out here doing big things. I don't know. I mean, just put your money where your mouth is, or
I
we
would
can.
love nothing more than you to take Sparkling Zero seriously and try your best.
Oh, I'm definitely
Just,
going to be taking it seriously, specifically to mop the floor with you. Just
just
you.
so I can destroy you. I don't think your level can go high enough to even reach me. Like I'll
Ah,
have to like be on the phone or something.
that's not true. First off, I wear glasses. It's like seeing 2020 like all the time.
I wear contacts, same thing.
Yeah, maybe. You don't strike me as the type of dude that like uses the right proper solution or anything. It's probably dry, very painful. Like it's okay.
No, I sleep with them in. It's just easier that way.
Yeah, that you didn't have to tell me. Like I can look at you. You're the kind of person that sleeps with them in. Like I didn't have to think about it at all.
All right, we are the Critical Hits Podcast. I appreciate everybody that's downloading anywhere you get your podcasts. We are on YouTube. Everybody dropping by, just watching the show, whatever you prefer. We love that you're here. We love being back. So for Steve and Tino, tell someone you love them. Take care.
Take care, guys. Bye.